Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, columnist Danny Graham, coming to you live from the HT office, where I'm overdoing it on Casual Friday today. Anyway,
Oh, yeah, but you'll put me to sartorial shame tomorrow.
I'll rock the tie again. I figure, I'll even it out. Anyway, Indiana gets Ball State tomorrow. We're going to start doing some more of these kind of preview scoop talks. And it is the first day of the official first day of the Cam Kaufman era, the first start for the former junior college transfer backup quarterback who's filling in now for Trey Roberson, who's out for the year with a broken leg. We obviously don't get to see practice at this point in the year. They kind of close us off for that. We got to see a little bit of him in preseason camp, I guess. What should fans expect from this guy? What kind of quarterback is Cam Kaufman going to be for Indiana?
I think he can be a technician. I think he's somebody that is can be pretty consistently capable, and that might be really what they need.
Right.
I think he's certainly suited to the sort of offense that they want to play, to the short passing game. Might even be a little better suited to that than Trey was.
Right.
Obviously, what they're going to miss in regard to Trey, beside the leadership qualities, is the explosiveness that he was able to supply with his feet. But it isn't like Kaufman is totally immobile either. I mean, he's got a little bit of escapability. Doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but can make, I think, most of the throws that are required. It'll be interesting to see whether he'll be able to stretch a defense vertically much. But I think that he's a kid that was able to come in last spring and take a lot of snaps with the number ones in the spring because the quarterback competition was open, and so he was here all summer and all fall. So I think that he could probably slot right in. It'll be, I think, important. There are a lot of reasons why this is a big game for Indiana with Ball State coming in. There's the revenge factor. There's the notion of going 3-0 as opposed to 2-1, hitting into the bye week. Plus, with the bye week, that's 2 weeks essentially where they get to further assimilate Kaufman as a starter. And it'd be, I think, probably more positive and more productive if they're 3-0 instead of 2-1.
Sure.
But,
no, absolutely.
I think we'll see. But I think Kaufman is a kid that comes from a football family. He's got a football pedigree. His dad, Paul, was a significant player for the Green Bay Packers. Both of his brothers played college ball. One of them played pro ball, I think.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he played at the highest level in Missouri, the highest level of high school in Missouri, was successful there. Probably would have had a pretty good Division I scholarship if the situation hadn't become muddled, if he hadn't waited too long to make
that was really what it was, yeah.
And now, he took his JUCO team to the national title game. So I don't know. I mean, I'm anxious to see myself, but I'll be surprised if he's inadequate.
Yeah, the word I've said a bunch of times this week is adequate. I mean, he doesn't. It's been said a lot of times by a lot of different people. Even I talked to his junior college coach when he committed, and he said, he doesn't have the best arm. I mean, what he does do well is anticipate. He puts the ball out there where it's supposed to be, and that actually, he says, we could throw the deep ball just because, he didn't wait on it. He didn't wait, so he had to throw it 40, 50 yards in the air. He got it to the guy 20 yards out, so that he could run under it, basically. Like, he put it in a spot where that guy could run under it, but he had to make the throw quick. But he could read that well. He could make those kind of anticipations. He does not have a rocket, but he's this extremely smart kid, and extremely calm kid. What Kevin Wilson said about him, the first thing he said about him this week was, he doesn't have much of a heartbeat. That usually sounds like an insult from Wilson. That's usually kind of saying that he doesn't have any fire in him. But what he meant in that case was he's not a guy that gets riled up. He's not a guy that gets flummoxed. The guy that gets riled.
Yeah, and that can be good. I mean, it's like it's great if a guy's a rah guy. You want your quarterback to be a leader, but if he doesn't freak out, if he maintains his composure, I mean, everybody expects him to be a little bit nervous and whatnot. But I think if he remains calm and simply remains efficient. Wilson also mentioned, hey, you don't necessarily have to win the game for us, but just don't lose the game. And I think that's kind of a situation right now, for Kaufman. If he's calm and is unflappable, that's probably a good thing.
I think a lot of reason that some fans are, I don't want to go so far as to say panicking, but we're really kind of bothered, concerned about Trey going down is at least for 2 plays last Saturday, he looked like Denard Robinson.
Yeah, he did.
And that's the thing is, like, as good as he's been, and he has been very difficult to stop. He was, a tough guy to deal with last year as a freshman. He's obviously become more athletic, and he really worked really hard on this game. So I don't want to take anything away from Trey. It's really, really, you got to feel bad for the kid for as much as he put into this. But there was a moment where everybody looked at it and said, I think everybody got, oh my God, I can't believe we just lost our star. But that was because he just looked like he was Denard Robinson against UMass, and UMass helped.
Well, that's right.
They played man to man. They didn't really account for him, and he
exactly. That's what I was going to bring up. I mean, they're playing man to man with their secondary. There was nobody accounting for Trey.
There was nobody.
So
accounting
when he
for
broke
Trey.
the line of scrimmage, just like see ya.
Right.
But no, I mean,
and he is good. But it's just like, but really, Kaufman is a guy that plays into what they actually want to do offensively. I mean, they said many times before they don't want to run the quarterback a whole lot this year. They like Roberson's athleticism, but they didn't want to run him 20 times a game because he's 6'1", 180, and if he takes enough hits, bad stuff could happen. I mean, this thing was very, very accidental and freakish, but, there could have been a wear-down factor if he would have run it 20 times a game for 12 games. Yeah. They want to be a guy that can make the throws, the short, relatively short throws, the quick, the precise.
That's
and
right.
Kaufman's capable of that.
That's
He's
right.
as capable, at least, as Roberson.
And look, Roberson, let's not mince words. I mean, Roberson was arguably Indiana's best player. I mean, he's a really good player, and he worked really hard.
Yeah,
in the
and I don't want to take that away
make
from
himself
him at all.
a better player. However, I said before the season started that I felt that entire position had been upgraded.
It did.
Not just Trey improving himself, but the fact is that with Kaufman and then with Nate Sudfeld coming in here, I thought Indiana had 3 better quarterbacks now than they had at any time last year. All 3 of them were, probably a better fit and had potentially more upside than the 3 they had on the field last year.
Right.
And so I still think that. I mean, I still think that Kaufman is a capable reserve who will now hopefully become an adequate starter, and that Sudfeld has a real skills package that once he gets comfortable and once he has more experience, and he'll be getting more reps now, and he'll be more in the mix now, that he's probably pretty capable too of stepping in if he has to.
It will be really interesting to see how they handle Sudfeld from this point on, because I think from everything we heard, he does have the best sort of overall skill package. He seems to fit best. Just in terms of his, prototype, I guess, or in terms of what he does.
Well, there's a reason why Seth Luttrell recruited him.
Right, but he is a true freshman, and we could tell that in practice. I mean, we didn't get to see a ton again, and obviously I think you saw it on Saturday. He's still swimming. I mean, he's got the big arm. By all accounts, he's an extremely intelligent kid, picks things up very, very fast. But you could tell that. I think that just shows how hard it is to play this position. Is that if a guy that, by all accounts, is an extremely smart kid, still looked like he was swimming on Saturday and did for much of camp. But that's because it's just that hard. It's just that hard to come in and feel comfortable and know what you're doing when you're running an entire offense. And that's where Nate Sudfeld is right now. He's figuring this out. I mean, and by all accounts, he can and probably will, and this will probably help him be able to do that faster. But he's not there yet.
No, he's not, but I wouldn't be entirely shocked if, as the season progresses, he might not challenge.
He could give Kaufman a run.
So we'll see. I mean,
it's not out of the question.
I don't know. I mean, but I think that, the whole thing is a bit different now with Trey going down. I mean, I think that the anticipation was that Sudfeld would redshirt, which would put a 2-year separation between him and Kaufman and Trey would have both been juniors next year, and then Sudfeld would have been a redshirt sophomore, and then if he hadn't beaten them out in the interim, it would have been a nice natural succession 2 years down the road where he takes over. Now, he'll be competing for a starting job, and he'll be competing for a starting job next year too. And as I said, I think he's got a lot of talent.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see if he is able to master things and mature, and as I said, that might happen even before this season's over.
Yeah, real quick on that. I mean, it does turn into a tough situation. I mean, like as much as they're like, yes, competition's great. In the same aspect, quarterback is a different position. It's a different animal because only really one guy gets to play it. It's not like corner when you can use 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah, they're using 4 tailbacks.
Or tailbacks are 4.
Not
I mean, like. You can't do that at quarterback, and that's kind of the tough thing. You hope it doesn't come in a position where every year Trey and Nate are going at it every year, and that neither one of them ever really gets to be the quarterback.
Right.
And the offense doesn't
And
get to settle around.
Maybe Coffin plays great, and he looks like
maybe
a potential starter.
Maybe, but all of those guys. So Coffin all of a sudden is the senior member of this team
we don't know.
in terms of class. But we haven't said a word about Ball State and all this.
They're really
real
good.
quick, what have just
they're eighth in the nation in rushing.
We've seen them before.
Their two tailbacks average over 8 yards a carry. Their offensive line is the second most career starts of any line in the country.
They're massive. Don't forget, they
dominated Indiana last year. They had like 36 minutes in time of possession last year. This is a really tough matchup for IU, and if Indiana is competitive and wins the game, that's a huge deal for IU, in my opinion.
Right. Now, this is the game where you're going to find out. I think they've already proven they've improved. I don't think they could have beat anybody 45-6 last year.
Yeah, true.
I don't know that they could have beat
Massachusetts
my
really
eighth grade team 45-6. But in the same aspect, this is still big. This is the game where you find out, okay, this is a team you got beat by last year handily.
Last two times.
Well, the two times ago, that was the Brady Hoke team, and those guys were really
good. That's true.
That was a 12-2 team that was undefeated.
Went to the NFL. There,
exactly. But this I think is a really big week. But this is it is going to be interesting to see. One thing they did last year that. But they found out last year that what they were doing defensively was not going to work. Right. They were playing heavy into the man, and they realized they didn't have the bodies for that. They weren't big enough. They couldn't control the line by just grabbing and controlling an offensive lineman. They had to play in the gaps, and that's what they had done before, and that's what they got back to. And Ball State can even tell just by watching it from talking to Pete Lembo this week and some of the players. They said, they're a lot more aggressive defense than what we saw last year. They're playing faster, they're playing more comfortable. They look like they know what they're doing. So you'll see on Saturday whether that makes a difference. We got to cut this off because it's getting long. But anyway, thanks guys.